Hi Christine, I have gone through this pattern that we talked about for this raglan sweater that you want to work on, and I figured out the casting on for the cable seams, and I want to explain what she's talking about when she's talking about the stuff in parentheses where she's saying seam 1, seam 2, seam 3. Okay, so I just cast on 44 stitches for the smallest size, and I'm going to walk through the directions explaining what's happening. So I'm on the setup row now, and it says that this is the right side, and I'm going to knit 3 stitches. So I will go ahead and do that. 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to place then it says seam 1. So that means these 3 stitches are going to become the cable. I'm going to place a marker on there. Okay. Then she has you knit 5 stitches. So I will knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and place a marker again. Okay, so these 5 stitches are the sleeve stitch, and then knit 3 and place a marker, and these 3 are going to be the next cable seam. Then I'm going to knit 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then place a marker, knit 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a cable seam. Place a marker and knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another marker. Knit 3. 1, 2, 3. This is another cable seam. Place a marker and then knit the last stitch. Okay, and you're going to need one more marker, which you're going to place later on. And now what has happened here, you've set up your sleeves, which are these stitches here, with the cable seams to either side of the sleeve. So you have a sleeve here, and you have a cable seam and a cable seam, and you have a sleeve here and a cable seam and a cable seam. Now this is a regular top-down raglan where you cast on just for the shoulders and the back, but the front of the sweater is not cast on yet. So that makes it seem a little confusing because you have an extra stitch on this side but not on this side. And you do add those stitches on there, and once you've added those stitches on there, you'll put in your other stitch markers. So I'm going to work through those beginning directions first. So now I'm on the wrong side, and I'm just going to purl across. There's no anything going on here. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I will come back in just a few seconds. Well, actually no, let me just, I'm afraid if I do that I'll lose my video. So let me just get across this as quickly as I can. 44 stitches. And I will figure out how to pause recording and come back in the middle of it later on. So I just started learning how to use this software, and it is well, my learning style. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. And for this little practice piece, I'm just using some scrap acrylic yarn, and I'm using my Knit Picks interchangeables. They're can't remember what they call them. They're Nova or whatever, the nickel plated brass ones, which is the first set I ever purchased. It works fairly well. I like it. Okay, here I am at the end. And now here I am. Okay, seam increases. Follow the chart or written instructions for the top sleeve cable increases for all 4 seams, and then continue increasing by working the cable front increases for seams 1 and 3, and cable back increases for seams 2 and 4. Finally, work cable continuing increases for all 4 seams. And when we read that first time, we said, what? So let me explain what she's talking about, and I'm going to use the chart. Let me okay. So she says, follow the chart or written instructions for top. The written instructions are in the pattern or up in here, but I think it'll be easier to just follow the chart, and I'm going to explain how to do that. Okay, so follow the chart or written instructions for top sleeve cable increases for all 4 seams. So for the next 7 rows, okay, you will be following this chart here. Okay, so on row 1, which we just did, which was the purl. I got myself tangled up. Which was the purl row. How do I know it was a purl row? Because the 1 is on the left side of the chart. So that was just the purl row that I just purled across, and it was just work across. There's no, no increasing here. So now I'm on row 2, and I have this little asterisk. The asterisk tells me it's knit front back, and I know that these little sections of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 here, and 3 over here, those are my sleeve cable seams. Okay, so for the cable seam on row 2, it tells me to knit front back, knit 1, knit front back, and knit across the sleeve stitches. Knit front back. I'm in the next section of 3 stitches, which is the cable seams, so I will do that knit front back, knit 1, knit front back. Okay, work across the back stitches. I'm just going to knit across the back stitches. Knit across, knit across, and across. Oops, increase, knit front back, knit, knit front back, knit across the sleeve stitches, knit front back. This is the cable seam. Knit one, knit front back, slip, and knit the final stitch. Okay, so I'm going to turn around, and now I am on row 3, and I'm just going to purl back across, and you'll see in my sleeve section I'll have 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in each of my cable sections I'm going to have 5 stitches now. So I will work across. So let me explain what's going to be happening. So I'm going to continue working this way, purl back, turn around. Only in my cable sections will I be increasing. So I'll increase, knit 3 stitches, increase, work across the body of the sweater, and I'm going to then I'll turn around and purl all the way back. On row 6 I'll increase. On row 7 I'll purl all the way back. Okay, then after row 7 it tells me down here on my neck increases, it says increase 1 stitch using the backwards loop method before the first and last stitch on row 8, 12, and 14. So I'm going to do all of this, and I'm not going to be increasing at the neck edge just yet. Once I finish this, I'm going to be on row 8. Okay, so on row 8 I will go ahead and increase on the let's pretend that that's where I'm at. Okay, I will be on row 8. It will be a right side row, and I will increase here. Now they're asking for a backwards E cast on here. You can probably do a knit front back here as well too, and it's not going to be noticeable, especially if you're going to pick up stitches for a collar later on. I haven't read that far, but the backwards let me get some yarn over here. The backwards E is when you take your yarn and you wrap it around your thumb like this, and then you put that loop on your needle. Okay, that's your E wrapper, backwards E. You could also do a knitted cast on increase here if you wanted to. So you could follow what they ask for, or you can do an increase that makes sense to you. But you will be increasing in the very first stitch, and as soon as you make that 1 stitch, you'll put a marker here, and then you will, as soon as you've increased your 1 stitch and you place your marker, then you're going to do a knit front back, and you're going to have 7 stitches here. So you'll do a knit front back, knit 1, and then you're going to do your cable with your cable 6 front, and then you'll do an increase. Then you'll work across your sleeve stitches, which are still going to be 5. Then you're going to repeat, you're going to have to identify which cable you're at. Cable front, cable back. Okay, so I have this other piece over here that I've already worked on. Okay, so the cable front and cable back, what she's talking about are the cables for the front of the sweater and the cables for the back of the sweater. So after you've divided up, you will be doing the cable back. This cable is going to be the 2 for the back, and then the first cable is going to be the very first cable and the very last cable. Okay, so this is after you get going, this is what it's going to look like, where you have the front of the sweater, 1 cable that is going to be the seam, the sleeve stitches, the other seam, which is a cable, the back stitches, the other seam, the sleeve stitches, the other seam, and the other front of the sweater. Okay, then the directions tell you, after you increase, you're going to increase on row, the beginning and end of row 8, row 12, and row 14. Okay, and then you're going to be increasing on those rows just one stitch at the beginning and the end. And in the in-between sections, you're going to be following the directions for whatever, if you're either knitting straight across or you're doing cable twisting or increasing where the charts tell you to increase. Then when you get to row 16, you're going to increase 2 stitches before the first stitch and after the last stitch. And then you're going to increase 4 stitches before the first stitch and after the last stitch on row 18. So that's where I am here. Okay, and then once you've gotten to that point, row 18, what the directions tell you to reposition your stitch markers so that they are outside the purl stitches. So the purl stitches, you can see here where I was doing the knit front back increases here. Here you can see the little purl bumps, okay, up to this point. And then after this point, I did the 2 additional increases with the first cable cross. There were 2 rows of that. And then I got up to here, okay? And then at that point, you can see that there were the 2 purl stitches. You end up with 2 purl stitches right outside the cable, and you're going to put your stitch markers right outside those 2 purl stitches. Okay, and the other stitches that had resulted from your increases will end up on the back of the sweater and on the sleeve of the sweater, and you can see how that made this shift here. And your increases for your sleeve increases and your future increases are going to happen before the cable section and after the cable section. You're going to increase here, 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 and so forth. And the cable section is you're going to work with no shaping. It's going to be uninterrupted as far as increasing or decreasing stitches. All the increasing and decreasing, or rather the increasing for the shape of the sweater to get the width that you need for the sleeve, is going to happen inside the sleeve. And this is just going to work straight. So I'll bring this to class on Wednesday, and we can go over it one more time. But I wanted to get you, to the point where you felt like maybe you wanted to cast on. So I would definitely follow the charts, and don't follow so much the way that the directions are written, because it's hard to visualize what they're talking about. You actually have to do it. It makes sense when the pattern's on the yarn and the sweater's growing on the needles. So in any case, I'll bring the pattern back to you on Wednesday, and we'll see how it goes. Cute sweater.